gorgeous top.
I love this store. It's called Gal. Have you been to it?
Yes. We're twinning, actually. This is the same collection.
Nice. I love it. Love it. Love it. I'm so excited to have you on today, Jasmina, and share your story when you came over and we talked a little bit about, your journey. And I just thought it was so amazing. I've always found you super interesting, with you being so young and successful, and you started your store. And then, like, was it last year? We just did the 1 year anniversary for your second, like the men's
Yes.
store. I
Yes.
think just that story is incredible. It's very just inspirational, and I love to share it with everybody. And so, thank you for doing this today. I think
Yes.
it's perfect because it's kicking off Testimony Tuesday. So I want to share these like amazing stories of friends and people that we know, just to really highlight, business and entrepreneurship. Don't make fun of me because I can't pronounce it. um, so having said that, I think it's 4:03. We can kind of get started, but I love for you to share um, how you got started in business. How long ago did you open Gal? What like prompted you to open up a store in El Paso? I'd love to hear that journey.
Okay, so it all started when I was 19 years old. I had just got married and I moved to the West Side, and I walked into a store formerly known as Tres Mariposas.
Yeah.
And when I walked in, I'll never forget that experience. It's forever embedded in my brain. I walked in and there was stylists and everybody was friendly and nice, and they were giving out like cookies, and the music was going and the brands were amazing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a store like this in El Paso." And I was just like in awe. And so I met the owner that day and she was like, "You should come interview." And I couldn't believe it. So I went on an interview. And long story short, she didn't want to hire me because I didn't have like experience, but I offered an internship. And I said, "I will work for free until you pay me." And so
Wow.
I did an unpaid internship for a while. And I invested like in myself. I said, "This is going to be my school. I'm going to learn everything from the owner, and I'm going to learn how this business works, and this is what I want to do with my life." And so I stayed there for 7 years. And when I turned
Wow.
25, I felt like it was time for me to go do my own thing. And that's when I opened up Gal Fashion. And we just celebrated 6 years on February 6th.
Wow. Wow. What an amazing story that you really like took the leap of faith, opened up a store, a fashion store in El Paso. And not just that, I didn't know how you did the internship because you were really looking for the opportunity. So you were looking like any way possible to get into the door and then like learn everything from like start to finish. And then that's what birthed Gal 7 years later.
Yeah.
That is crazy, crazy, crazy. So, what are some of like the things that you really enjoy about owning Gal, and how long after did you open up the men's store?
What I love about Gal is there was 3 times in my life where I had the most amazing shopping experience. One was at Tres Mariposas. One was at Saks in Las Vegas, and one was at the Versace store in Italy. And I remember getting treated like so special, like a celebrity. And they would bring me clothes and make me feel comfortable, and they would style me. And I said, that is what I want to bring to Gal Fashion. That is what I want to bring to the people here. So that's like my main focus, is just to make people feel special, confident, bring them unique things. And that's what I love about doing it, is just giving like that ultimate customer experience.
What I
And
really love about Gal is that I can walk into a store in Vegas or wherever, and it's overwhelming for me because
mhm.
that's really not like that's not my expertise. I know how to do like mortgages really well, but fashion, is it's a little difficult for me to walk in and choose. And like what I really love about Gal and about your team is that you guys all know your customers. You can send me something and my what I wear, the size, what I like. And so it really like takes out that whole like tedious process. I hate it. I hate going to the store. And so it's really nice to be able to wear like really nice, fashionable clothing without having to do for me, it's painful.
Well, my philosophy is that shopping should be fun. Like it should be an experience. It should be awesome. And if you're like Tanya, that's super busy, then I need to make it convenient for you.
To the point that you brought me, you know, that
I
that
did.
day that you shared that beautiful dress, and it allowed me to get to know you a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, I kind of froze.
and you were able to share your testimony with me, and then I asked to see if you'd be willing to do a live, and here we are today.
Here we are.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in life so far? um, it's
Okay. Well, the biggest challenges I've had is divorce, death, and getting sober. But for me, that's probably the biggest challenge because it took my sobriety journey. It took so long and it was so hard, because, well, first of all, I had to admit that I even had a
problem.
which was very difficult for me because as a perfectionist, I had to admit that I'm not perfect. So it took me a really long time to like finally grasp that I had a problem and then to take action to work on that problem. And I never in a million years thought that I could stop, my drinking problem. But that to me was the biggest challenge, but it was the most rewarding and greatest gift I could ever ask for.
How brave, for you to be able to share this story that so many of us have gone through. And I don't think enough of us share it, especially on social media or with a lot of people, because to some extent it could be a little shameful. And you don't want to look like you're not perfect. And I think that it's so important for us to take the platform that God's given us to be able to really share with people, because it doesn't like happen overnight. It's not as if you wake up and say, today I'm an alcoholic, or today I just partied way too much. It's kind of progressive, and it happens in the industry. And if you're in sales, it's so prevalent because it's like you go out to happy hour, and then the happy hour turns into a couple of shots, and then a couple of shots turns into, some more drinks, and then it's 3-4 in the morning and you don't even know how much money you've spent, how much drinks you've had, and then like the shame of what comes with all of that the next day. Oh my God, what did I say? Or oh my God, did I do something that was out of line? And for you to be able to identify that you had a problem. And I think that story in itself, it was really like God sent, what happened that day that you shared. And I think that those words were so impactful to you that it really prompted you to want to make a change, to really want something different. So will you share that day with us?
Like why I quit drinking?
Yeah, that day you said it was like Sunday.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna get too into the nitty gritty, Tanya, because it can be a little bit I get PTSD talking about it, but I will tell you a little bit. So basically, for those of you that don't know, like alcoholism is a progressive disease, and it's not like, it happened overnight. It happened over a course of 3 years, and it happened when I got a divorce, because when I got a divorce, my whole life fell apart as I knew it. I was married for 10 years, and so I was just trying to cope with drinking, and it just developed into a monster, and it developed into a monster that I couldn't control anymore, and it was starting to take over my life. And so what happened is 15 months ago, I just was in such a dark place. I was in the most, it was very dark. It was the worst of the worst of the worst. I started just really, I lost my soul to drugs and alcohol. Basically, that's the, I don't know how else to put it, but I basically lost my soul to that, and I was tired. I had had enough. I literally I couldn't face myself in the mirror anymore. It was just the worst feeling in my life. And, I said, if I continue like this, then I'm choosing this. I'm choosing this path. I'm choosing to live in this dark hole. And so I want to change. And so I started seeking out, help in the recovery community. And I basically prayed to God and I said, you know what, I surrender. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know what you want from me, but I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this. I was at my wit's end. And lo and behold, the next day, a customer came into my store and offered help. And that's when I knew that was a sign from God. It was like, how crazy that I finally like admitted I have a problem. I finally was at my end. And this random angel customer comes into my life and literally like helps me get out. And from
That's the
that
part I
moment on,
wanted to share.
huh?
That part when you shared that with me and said how you had prayed and you wanted to change and you didn't really know how. How can you overcome something that you've been used to, like living life that way? And that's how you friend, that's how you like date, that's how you like work, that's how, at least for me, that's what it was, like have a long day at work, then we go to happy hour. And
Mm-hmm.
if I had a great day at work, then we go celebrate at a happy hour. And if you were like lonely and you wanted to like chit chat with your girlfriends, then you go to a happy hour. And
Yeah.
everything really is surrounded, a lot of industries around that, happy hour bar environment. And it's okay if you know how to have one or two. It's not okay when, at least for me, I'm very I want to be the best at everything, right? Like, and so I don't know how to have one drink. I want to have not, I go all the way. And it's like that for so many people now, since I've also been on my sobriety journey, since like my day was April 1st, when I said, I want to surrender absolutely everything to God. And I want to, like, God, I asked God to make himself real for me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want a change. And that's that day that you wanted the change. And the next day, God
Mm-hmm.
is faithful. He shows
Mm-hmm.
up, and
Mm-hmm.
and a customer walked in and kind of held you by the hand. So what happened after that?
So what happened after that is this client walked in and I had already like that was my first day where I had like stopped drinking, but I knew it wasn't going to last because I would always do that. I would always play the game of like, well, I'm not going to do it Monday through Friday or only the weekend or only one. Or, like those little, well, I'm only going to drink beer today. Or no, I can have one glass of wine. Like
I'm
all
not
this
gonna have a shot.
BS. Yeah, yeah. As long as I don't have shots and we're good. Or just all these little tricks and games of denial. And so that was the first day. It was a Monday where I was like, I hadn't taken a drink that day. But I had already in my heart given up. Like I already told God, like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like I had already tried getting into rehab. I had already tried um I tried everything. I tried church, spiritual melody, I tried to go to AA, I tried rehab. I tried everything and I couldn't stop. I couldn't. It was something that was beyond my control at this point. And so that day I went to work and this client I'm just going to tell this story because it's a cool story.
It's such a
But
cool story.
I had an appointment with her to style her, and she was like, Jaswina, sit down. And she was like, it's not a secret that you're an alcoholic. She's like, so I'm not leaving the store until you contact this person. And at that moment, I felt like my tail going between my legs, like, oh shit, like, like that moral guilt and shame, like I'm caught, like you knew, like, how did you know? Like no one else had ever confronted me or told me anything. No one else, it's funny because like I knew in my heart, but no one was going to tell me, that I'm out of control or I drink too much. Like
Never.
who was going to tell me? That's the reason why I think I got away with it for so long is because there was zero consequences. I never got a DWI. I never got in trouble. I never got caught. So I was able to like get away with it for so long. To this day, I went on a trip with my mom this weekend and she said, "You're a good actress." She's like, "Because I never knew." And I'm like, "Oh, come on." And she's like, "No." She's like, "You always had it together. Like I never knew it was that bad."
That bad.
But it was bad.
It's because it happened so fast, you know. I think that for so many of us is like, and it's just the normal. So it gets to where it's so bad. It gets to where you want to change, but then you don't know how to get out of this, how to get out of the cycle. And I mean, obviously, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a licensed like professional or anything like that, and neither are you. But both of us have gone through the journey, and if one person, just one person can see this video and say, hey, you know what? Because you think about somebody that, and the D word is so ugly, right? Drunk, like a drunk. You look at a drunk. I mean, close your eyes and imagine. I mean, you kind of imagine like somebody homeless,
Yeah.
somebody
One
maybe
thing
not put together.
One thing that Broadwin Wyndham Burke, which I'll talk about, she's coming to El Paso, but she's in Orange County. I was talking to her on the phone the other day, and she said, whether you live in a park or you live on Park Avenue, you know, alcoholism is not a respecter of persons. It could hit anyone. Like,
Anybody.
they're everywhere. Like, it doesn't mean that you're drinking out of a paper bag. I mean, you can see right here, it could look like this, you know?
And that's where I think, you know, so many people go down this like vicious cycle, and they don't identify that they have a problem because they're hiding behind their career, or behind the glamour, or behind whatever it is. But at the end of the day, when they wake up with that massive hangover and not knowing what you did and how you disrespected, because alcohol leads to all kinds of other things. I mean, I remember when I was drinking, I was first started with the beer, and then there was a shot, and then I wanted a cigarette, and after I wanted a cigarette, then I wanted to go, you know, to the next step. And then at the next day, didn't know, you know, sometimes didn't even remember things I said, or
But
maybe
isn't
I
it so
insulted
great,
somebody, but it
Tanya,
didn't
that,
matter.
yeah, but isn't it so great that now, like all of the problems I've had, they were all related to alcohol. All of them. Like now it's like, what problem? I mean, obviously we have life problems, but they're, you can handle them
They're
now. You can face
manageable.
them. You can be responsible. Like you can get through it and overcome it. Whereas before it's like one bad thing would happen and I'd go drink over it, whether I was happy or whether I was sad. Like there was always an excuse. It's just like an easy way out. It's a short-term happiness with a long-term horrible effect.
How's your journey? How has it been as far as like your friends? Because I know that that could be like life changing, because now it's not like, just so you know, you're not the fun party girl and who you're gonna like, you know, because you're the life of the party, you know, that you really were, and you really are still, just in a different way. And I think that that's so great to be able to still be yourself, still without having to have a whole bunch of shots.
Well, I think that now I live my life with purpose. You know, I'm very truthful, I'm very honest, I have integrity. Before I was, you know, hiding behind drinking all the time, so I was living a lie. So I was
Yeah.
a liar, you know, and now it's like, hey, yeah, I had this problem, but I'm working on it. I'm Every day is a challenge, it's a new day. I'm constantly working on myself. So I'm able to wake up now with like a sense of pride and joy and happiness because I'm doing the next right thing and I'm trying to work on it. And if people, you know, don't like the new me, well, then they shouldn't be in my life. You know,
Right.
I want to hang around people that like Jaswina for who she is, not because she's the entertainment committee when she's drunk, you know?
I like that, entertainment committee.
Yeah, like you like the old me, well, you know, too bad. I like
um,
this me. I actually love this me. I have accomplished goals that I never thought I could. Like my life is day and night. It is I would never give this up in a million years. And I know it's only like one day at a time and I can't like think of the future, but as far as now, Tanya, I am living a purposeful, happy life with integrity and joy. I have my family back, my business is on fire, my relationships are on fire. Like it's just another life.
you couldn't have said that better. You really couldn't have said that better. So when you opened up the men's store, was that after you had made the commitment to get sober?
No, I actually made it in the middle. During COVID, that's when I decided to open up the men's store because all the men's stores were shutting down. So I saw the opportunity, but I hadn't. I stopped my sobriety date is October 6th of 2020.
Wow,
So 15 months, every 6th of the month.
that's a celebration.
Mm-hmm.
That's a celebration in itself. Just the fact that you identified the problem, that you put the motion into action, and like you said, enough is enough, and that your business is thriving, and your relationships, like you said, like that in itself is all worth it. And then to have the testimony to share, just like I said, if it helps one person, because you really don't think of somebody like you that's successful, that's glamorous, that's beautiful, that's young, as like, how would she even have a problem? Or, same thing with me, like, how would she even, she's at the top of her game, and I was just hiding behind my career. Man, if there was an event, I was there, because I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be like a party,
Yeah.
and I love that. And now to be able to wake up, like you said, with purpose, and to be able to help people that are going through, because I mean, it is possible. I never in a million years, I mean, I started drinking, just so we know, when I was 14, 15, going to
Me too.
Juarez and doing the drink and drown, and had older friends and all this other stuff. And it was just like, culture wise, it was okay. Like, it's not like my mom handed me but it was okay. Like, in our culture, it's okay, but it's not okay to do it like how we were doing it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's when you know that you have a problem, and when you are able to get out of it and you're able to share your problem, that's when it becomes a testimony. So what advice would you give anyone, and it doesn't have to be a woman, like just somebody that's going through that dark cycle?
I would say that there is a way out. Because for me, I didn't realize that alcoholism was a problem. I didn't know what it was because no one really talks about those things. It's kind of like a hush hush type of deal, especially I think in our culture and our community. It's like very embarrassing and shameful, and we don't talk about those things. So for me, like I didn't really know it was like a thing until I went down the deep dark hole. And when I was able to seek help through the recovery community, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, there's a way out. Like, you mean to tell me that I can, like, if I don't want to drink, I don't have to? What? Like, to me, that was like such a, what? Like, I don't have to? Like, and there is a way out. And if anybody is struggling with that problem or has that issue, I'm happy for them to reach out to me and to DM me or call me or email me, and I can help them down the spiritual path and solution that I went through. I can't really go through everything I did because it's a long process and I don't think we have enough time, but I'm happy to really help anybody who thinks that they have a problem and who's watching this video.
And that's where you nailed it. Really, I think, is making yourself available to share your story. I know that this is surface and we have to keep it right around like 30 minutes. And I think just having it's so brave to be able to share this, and who knows how many people will watch it, but then to reach out and like extend your hand and say, not only am I sharing this, I'm here to help, and I'm here to walk you through the steps of what you did, because of what you did it's different than what I did, and it's different than
Yeah, there's different ways. That's
it's
why.
different ways to get there. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I also thought was so cool, is that like and the same word is surrender. I surrendered absolutely everything to God and said,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the day that I said, like, God, I want to live another life, I didn't know where I left my car the night before. That's like, and I had a nice car and had no idea where I left it, and had no idea, like, all these different things. I said, this is enough. And
Mm-hmm.
I walked into my office, just Serena, and I always share this story because my sister-in-law said, my brother's a police officer, and said, your brother saw you driving down the street and you must have been going over 100. I said, well, he didn't call me. He's like, and she said, we know you're not going to change. And that for me was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, we know you're not going to change. And because I was very prideful, I was full of pride, because I knew that I was at the top of my game of work and nobody can tell me anything. And I pay this and I do that, but it doesn't matter, because I was broken. And it's been a journey for me. This April will be 3 years. And from the day
Wow,
that
congratulations. I didn't know it
from
was
the
that
day
long.
but from the day that I said I
Oh,
want to
that you're.
change, I
Mm,
still kind of like, I was like, I can have one, and I can't.
yeah.
I really can't, because I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have a glass of wine, but it just left me with this feeling that why am I going back to something that like really consumed my life for so long? Like for what? It doesn't even taste that good. And
Mm-hmm.
then the consequences afterwards like are just totally not worth it. And so for me, really getting into a relationship with like Jesus Christ and God for me was like that's my testimony. That's what gave me the strength to want to change and to like continue at it and to want to share and to want to help. And so when you shared that story with me, your story and your journey, I'm like, people need to hear this because um, I mean, there is another way of living, and
Well, and
there's
it's so
so much
interesting
more.
how we both, sorry to interrupt, but how we both had like, you're in a different industry, I'm in a different industry, we're different ages and everything, but how the exact same thing happened in different ways. You know what I mean? It's so crazy how we were both able to realize, I don't want this life anymore. Like, it's not, this is horrible. And then just to be able to overcome it and work through it and then be able to like live a life for God and have a second chance. That's amazing.
That's fire. That's
Fire.
fire, 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 fire. So moving forward, um, what are Jasmina's like? What are your goals? What do you see yourself like expanding your store? Share a little bit about like your ambition, what you see maybe in the next 5 years for you.
Well, first, I want to do a quick little shout out because I'm doing a women's recovery luncheon on May 18th.
Yes.
And I'm bringing in Brodwyn Wyndham Burke, who's also in recovery, and she was on the Real Housewives of Orange County. She's coming. We're going to have a luncheon at the Manor. So I'm very involved in the Recovery Alliance community, which means anything having to do with that, I'm your girl. So that's really my main focus right now. Like, as far as like my industry, it's great, it's good. I'm happy where I am, but I really want to focus more on the recovery community because I think that we need
Reaching
to
out.
bring awareness and we need to really help those in need and people who have stories just like us.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. People, please reach out to Jasmina, reach out to me. Let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you guys. Support Gal Fashion. There's amazing like selection and the customer service. It's all an experience for those girls that haven't been there. You have to visit, and then the men's store too. Maximus.
That's where I am. Is that nice?
That's where you are. Do you want to leave us with any other nuggets?
Nuggets. I mean, thank you for having me on Testimony Tuesday. I was very nervous, Tanya, because I was like, I can't believe I have to share my story to the entire world. But for whatever reason, I think God put it in my heart to do it, and I feel comfortable with you. I really respect you and what you're doing, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad we're friends, and I cannot wait to see what else we collaborate with together.
I love it. I'm super excited. May 18th.
Yes.
More information coming soon for everybody that logged on. Thank you so much for hearing our Testimony Tuesday. We look forward to bringing you more powerful stories with beautiful women that have really just the hunger to give back to our communities. And have a great day, everybody. God bless you.